Ça me fait penser à Vanessa Carlton, moi. Hein. C'est un peu presque le même style, mais sauf que ça, c'est Christina Perry. Twilight, joué spécialement pour notre premier gagnant de notre premier jeu, c'est Monsieur Soukesh de Plaine des Roches. Allez, je vais vous laisser, je vais vous retrouver tout à l'heure. Là, je vais laisser le micro à Priscilla Sadien et à Monsieur Jagdish Joypal as well, l'équipe de la rédaction pour les travaux parlementaires. C'est à vous, bonjour.
Bonjour Néla, bonjour à tous et merci. Vous pouvez rejoindre nous pour cette séance de la PNQ. À mes côtés, fidèle au poste, Jagdish Joypal, bonjour.
Bonjour Priscilla, auditeurs et internautes, bonjour également.
La private notice question du leader de l'opposition à l'Assemblée nationale ce matin, axé l'Urban la terre, initialement allouée à Centre Culturel Tamoul et à l'Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association a réduit. Xavier Duval qui questionne Premier ministre adjoint et ministre logement Stephen Obigadou. Les voulez connaître si pour rendre sa terrain là à sa deux organisations là. Et sinon, pour quelle raison, Xavier Duval peut aussi, ou les connaît, si la terre qui finit attribuée, si ça la terre là, pardon, finit attribuée à les autres promoteurs et si pour donner une compensation à organisation subventionnée compte tenu du préjudice causé. Jagdish bien connaît qui le député du MMM, Deven Nagalingam, fin aussi pose une question à Stephen Obigadou lors de question parlementaire de la séance du jour. L'IPNV connaît si le gouvernement prend une décision après une représentation qui finit faire par Centre Culturel Tamoul et l'Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association. Deven Nagalingam qui déjà posé une question dans le passé là. Oui. Et Xavier Duval aussi tu poses une PNQ l'année dernière lors sa question.
Effectivement, Priscilla, le 23 mai 2023, Xavier Duval tu pose une private notice question à Stephen Obigadou qui reste toujours le ministre des terres et du logement. Alors, pour demander si pour restituer les terrains qui gouvernement tu peux dire il pour reprendre avec la Fédération des temples Tamoul et Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association. Et à l'époque, ministre Stephen Obigadou tu répond qu'en raison de l'importance stratégique énorme dans la région de réduit depuis 2006 avec un medical hub et c'est-à-dire l'hôpital Apollo qui est installé là-bas, l'ICAC, ce quartier général se trouve dans la région. Également, il y a un projet de Education Hub, donc le Silver Tourism peut développer. Donc, Stephen Obigadou, tu dis, bien ouvert la porte à d'autres développements. Donc, Deven Nagalingam, à l'époque, il y a aussi revenir à la charge, mais il y protesté, qui speaker, pas tu donner l'occasion, pose une question supplémentaire. Et donc, ça, développement-là, le gouvernement, il a un autre projet. Et quand il demande Stephen Obigadou, si le Centre Culturel Tamoul capable de faire partie de sa Education Hub là, il répond pour dire il n'est pas d'accord, il faut pas une toute qualité galimatia dans la région. Et ça porte atteinte un petit peu à la communauté tamoul. Nous besoin rappeler que c'est un terrain là, fin prend par le gouvernement avec le projet l'ONRO. Donc, c'est le Ilovo Deal en 2001. C'est un land use survey qu'il fait en 2004. Et donc, c'est-à-dire toute la région fin identifiée et différentes organisations ils bénéficiaient de terrain, MTEL, l'ICAC, la commission électorale, l'hôpital Welkin, c'était Apollo. Il y a également un retirement home dans la région Priscilla.
Et qu'est-ce qui explique ce désaccord, Jagdish?
C'est-à-dire le désaccord entre la Fédération Temple Tamoul et le gouvernement les remonte à mars 2023, quand la Fédération t'y informée par le gouvernement, par le ministère du Logement, le gouvernement peut reprendre le terrain, un terrain à bail qui t'y alloué, qui finit alloué à la Fédération pour un Education Hub. Et en avril 2023, le gouvernement t'y donne seulement 48 heures à la Fédération Tamoul pour démarrer construction, ce qui est impossible, quoi qu'il, d'après la fédération, il y a déjà un projet en préparation. Et en mai 2023, le gouvernement décide de résilier le contrat qui est offert. En échange, il propose un lot de terrain à la fédération Tamoul à la Vigie ou à Hermitage, mais entre-temps, un comité de soutien formé par la Fédération, Tamil Council, il commence à protester, il y a même une marche de protestation après lui, donc contre pour demander la restitution. Et c'est un terrain, d'après les chiffres qu'il nous trouvait, qui concerne environ 6400 mètres carrés, un très grand terrain qui pour supposé pour construire un centre culturel tamoul.
Alors, à noter ce matin l'absence de Paul Béranger à l'Assemblée nationale.
Oui, c'est-à-dire Paul Béranger fait connaître qu'en raison d'une discussion qui est en cours entre les trois partis de l'opposition, le Parti travailliste, le MMM et le PMSD, et donc il y a une réunion qui est prévue demain, il n'est pas pour présent dans le Parlement au moment Xavier Duval peut présenter ce private notice question, qui est d'ailleurs, Xavier Duval, c'est le leader, un partenaire dans l'alliance qui peut constituer là, et Paul Béranger peut dire qu'il désinforme le Parlement de son absence, et nous noter possiblement l'absence de Reza Outim également, qui est absent du pays.
En revanche, les autres membres du MMM pour présent.
En autre mot, oui, pena un mot pour parler, pour boycotter, non. Absolument, c'est Paul Béranger dire qu'il préfère laisser les discussions et finaliser avec, c'est-à-dire les deux partenaires de l'alliance de l'opposition.
Alors, sinon, en ce qui concerne la PMQT de Jagdish, pour Agalega et à Mauritius, ben réparation post-Belal ou ben risque de l'intelligence artificielle lors de ben prochaine élection générale, puisqu'il y a une quinzaine de questions qui sont adressées à Premier ministre à l'Assemblée nationale.
Oui, une quinzaine de questions qui concernent beaucoup abus sexuels des enfants, vol avec violence concernant ben personnes âgées, nombre de cas qui peut enregistrés depuis janvier 2022, surtout le ban étranger, le ban personnes âgées, arrestation qui vient faire, également une question d'importance nationale au dépouillement et pour élection générale, si bulletin de vote pour compter même soir quand élection est finie, également une question concernant l'intelligence artificielle du député Fabrice David qui peut demander si pour un contrôle pendant les élections générales de l'intelligence artificielle.
Et quant au projet de loi, la séance parlementaire, donc nous retrouvons l'examen en première lecture de l'Environment Bill, et tandis qu'il y a un débat autour du Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill pour continuer. Nous vous prenons tout de suite la direction de l'Assemblée nationale.
Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Question.
Mr. Speaker, my question is addressed to Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Housing and Lands and Land Use Planning, Minister of Tourism. Whether in regard to state land at Réduit Triangle, initially allocated to the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust and the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, he will state A, if consideration will be given for the restitution of the original plots of land to the two organizations, and if not, why not? If the land has been reallocated, if the land has been allocated to other developers, and if so, indicate to whom and the purpose thereof, and C, if in addition to the restitution of the land to the said organizations, consideration will be given for compensation to be paid thereto in view of any prejudice caused to meet the cost of construction of their cultural centres.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to bid good morning to the Leader of the Opposition and thank him for the question put to me this morning. The House may refer to PQ B438 of 9th May 2023 and to the PNQ of the Leader of the Opposition going back to 23rd of May 2023, which referred to land leased to socio-cultural organizations in Réduit. The wording of the present PNQ, of course, requires that I should set the context for the issues raised. Now, for recall, the Réduit Triangle, this land refers to the Réduit Triangle, which was made available for development by the acquisition in 2001 by the then government of land from Lonhro Sugar Corporation under the so-called Lonhro deal. Thereafter, in 2004, a planning exercise was carried out to decide what would be done with that land and ensure coherent land use. However, in 2006, under a different government, these planning proposals were reviewed, and the then government granted land to a number of different public and private organizations for purposes that were varied and totally unrelated. For instance, today, the building of the Independent Commission Against Corruption stands in the immediate vicinity of a hospital, whereas land has been attributed for all sorts of different purposes, namely the Electoral Commission Office, the Trade Union Trust Fund, a spiritual complex, a transformer room, a retirement home, the Local Government Service Commission, National Archives, a telephone cellular base station, and, as I have already said in this House, such injudicious and haphazard use of state land was not in accordance with the basic principles of land use and planning, and does not serve the public good, does not serve the national interest. In the meantime, the region of Réduit has become increasingly central with various developments, including extension of the metro line. Accordingly, in 2021, in line with its mandate to ensure appropriate land use and monitoring of state land leases, my ministry conducted a survey that revealed that out of 24 plots of state land, either leased or vested in the Réduit Triangle, only 11 had been developed, whereas 13 had not. Thereupon, government decided to proceed with a new planning exercise by clustering compatible activities, taking into account, of course, existing buildings and retrieving all unused land. There were two exceptions. One was the land vested in the Ministry of Arts and Culture for the setting up of the National Archives and National Library, because it had reached a very advanced stage in terms of the procurement exercise. Second exception was the land vested in the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology, for the setting up of a planetarium, because that land was not so-called Ilovo land, and it was on the other side of Rivière Cascade. In any event, both projects lie squarely within the scope of an educational hub. Now, the new planning exercise provides that alongside the educational hub should be developed a medical hub together with related services. Now, there were 4 socio-cultural organizations concerned by retrieval of land. The Hindi-speaking union, the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust, and the Urdu-speaking union. A number of meetings were held, I believe it was early 2023 or end 2022, by the Prime Minister and or the Minister of Arts and Culture, Cultural Heritage, with these 4 organizations to explain the rationale of government's decision and to propose their relocation to a new site to be agreed upon by everybody. And all 4 organizations conveyed their agreement, and my ministry proceeded accordingly to retrieve the relevant plots of land in accordance with standard procedures. Subsequently, the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust and the Indo-Mauritius Catholic Association changed their stand as regards retrieval of the land. In the meantime, government and my ministry identified various alternative sites which were proposed to all the organizations, and eventually a site visit was effected by my colleague, the Minister of Arts and Cultural Heritage, accompanied by representatives of all 4 organizations, because there was an ongoing dialogue. And at that site visit, all 4 organizations expressed their satisfaction and gave their verbal agreement. The alternative site is very centrally located at Côte d'Or, and this site is now being acquired from Landscope Mauritius Limited by the state. And the agreement was that each of these 4 sociocultural organizations would be leased a plot of land, the size of which would be no lesser than that which they held under a lease at the Réduit Triangle. Since then, 3 of the organizations, namely the Hindi-speaking Union, the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust, and the Urdu-speaking Union, have formally conveyed their agreement to the offer made by government. Whereas the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association has not accepted the offer. Now, as regards part A of the question, the issue of restitution of the original plot of land does not arise and has never arisen, for the simple reason that, as I stated, the Ministry of Housing has proceeded with a planning exercise in the national interest, and government has agreed to a new planning scheme, if I may say so, if I may so term it. Restitution would be tantamount to going back to the status quo ante with all the developments there. Restitution does not arise, the more so as 3 of the 4 organizations have already conveyed their agreement to the relocation. As regards part B of the question, the answer is in the negative. As regards part C of the question, the issue of compensation does not arise, as no prejudice has been caused to any of the 4 organizations by virtue of the cancellation of the leases in view of the proposed reallocation of a plot of land to each one of them at a new site at Côte d'Or. For recall, the leases of the land at Réduit Triangle dates back, in the case of the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust, to July 2010. In the case of the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, to February 2013, 11 years ago. And in the case of the Urdu-speaking union and the Hindi-speaking union, the leases go back to September 2016. It is to be noted that all these leases carried conditions that construction had to start within 9 months as from the date of signature of the lease agreements, and that condition had not been adhered to. Nonetheless, I would like to remind the House that this government has always been supportive of all religions and cultures and cultural centre projects. As a matter of fact, over the last 10 years, the Ministry of Arts and Culture has allocated, for instance, no less than 37 million to the One Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust. Government will stand together with socio-cultural organizations belonging to all religions to assist them in the furtherance of their projects. Now, in the precise case of Kodor and the socio-cultural organizations that have agreed to be relocated there, firstly, let me stress that Kodor is deemed even more appropriate in view of the surroundings for the activities of these four organizations and the development of cultural centers. Secondly, while the state is in the process of acquiring that land, which belongs to Landscope, Landscope has already embarked upon works to develop the land. Right now, work is ongoing. The site has been cleared, survey of site has been completed, and excavation works are in progress. Government will come in, and this was decided a long time ago. Government is coming in to ensure that all the basic infrastructure is in place, road access, infrastructure for provision of water and electricity, including street lighting, and all the drain infrastructure. That is already ongoing. The work has been contracted out and is proceeding smoothly. And we're looking to an early completion of that work. Thereafter, and again, this was decided quite a while ago by government, government will construct on behalf of each of these organizations we have mentioned, namely the Hindi-speaking Union, the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust, and the Urdu-speaking Union, a cultural centre at its own cost. This testifies to this government's unprecedented and sincere commitment to support all religions, all communities, all cultural centres in this country in the interests of peace, stability, and shared development for all the people of Mauritius.
Speaker, sir, Tamil community and the Indo-Mauritian Catholic community will be extremely disappointed, as I am, that it has not been seen fit, government has not seen it fit to restitute, to return the land that has been granted to them previously. The Deputy Prime Minister referred to the land being undeveloped. Is he now aware, has he looked at the file now as opposed to last PNQ, to see that, for instance, for IMCA, it was his very ministry that refused planning clearance for the IMCA to go ahead with the construction, and then his ministry has the cheek to take the land back because there has been no construction. And I have the dates, and I can table the documents.
Mr. Speaker, I hope we're not going to have a repeat of the PNQ of 23rd May of 2023, when exactly the same points were made. So let me first recall that land development did not occur on any one of the four sites. We're talking of the four socio-cultural organizations. Secondly, as regards the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, an association with which I am very well acquainted with, there it has never been brought to my attention, despite several meetings I have had with the persons responsible for that organization, that there was any planning clearance in abeyance at the Ministry of Housing. That is a fact which I am stating here in Parliament. Now, in early 2023, I remember meeting the President and Executive Committee members of LIMCA. We explained to them the rationale for this project and why we wanted a coherent, orderly development for our country, and such is the mission of my ministry, and they were in wholehearted agreement. It was the same agreement that they indeed conveyed to the Prime Minister. And they even... I'm sorry.
Wait.
Mr. Speaker, I do not have any control over the question put by the Leader of the Opposition, the manner, the wording, the phrasing and the length, and I have the same liberty to phrase my answers as I so wish. That is normal parliamentary procedure. Right, and so what I was saying is that I met again and again, IMCA. They requested assistance as regards additional land in the east of the country, which we promised to look into. Of course, had there been requests for planning clearance before this exercise was embarked upon, it might have been considered. But once this exercise was initiated, the priority was relocation, and beyond relocation, this government is going further than any government has done before in terms of extending, and I've just given the details, concrete help, concrete assistance to construct cultural centres. And if LIMCA wishes to join the other three organisations, certainly government will consider.
Now you have taken a year from the last PNQ to come up with this, no doubt, because your speeches are too long. Now I'm going to refer you to two letters that IMCA have sent. One on 15th of April 2019, another one follow up on 25th June 2020, pleading to your ministry for planning clearance. And you say that IMCA has agreed to your plan. I refer and I will table a letter, a tough letter sent on 10th May 2023, signed by the General Secretary and the National President of IMCA, where, believe it or not, they talk about genocide under the Geneva Convention. This is the letter, I will table it. So you are saying you have any record that IMCA has agreed to this land?
Let the Minister reply.
Do you have anything that you can table?
Wait.
But before I respond, could I have the date of the second letter mentioned?
June 2020. You're not on top of this file.
No comments.
Mr. Speaker, I will not respond to insults. That is not my manner of proceeding, and I will not dare suggest that the Leader of the Opposition is not on top of his file, although he is offering us a mere repetition of what was stated in May of last year. Now, firstly, in April 2019, I was not at the Ministry of Housing and Lands and was never made aware of the existence of such a letter. Likewise, I have not seen a letter of June 2020 and have never been made aware of it. But, let me insist once again, I personally met with the President and Executive members of IMCA at my office at the Ministry of Housing in Eben in a very cordial atmosphere, and we discussed all the issues and activities pertaining to IMCA. And never was a matter of planning clearance at Réduit raised. Had it been raised, as holds true for any socio-cultural organization on leased state land, it would have been given due consideration. Now, let me go further to state that the letter of May 2023, with the language referred to by the association, of course, came to the knowledge of government, and I will let the public judge.
Mr. Speaker, these organizations cannot be victims of the disorganization, apparent disorganization of your ministry, where you're not aware, before responding to one or two PNQs, what actually has happened in your ministry. These people cannot be the victims of this disorganization. And Mr. Speaker, I will table these letters for the knowledge of the Deputy Prime Minister, because his ministry took the land back because it had not been constructed upon, whereas it is your own fault. It was not constructed upon.
At this stage, let the Minister reply.
Mr. Speaker, the land had not been constructed upon in the case of all four organizations over a period stretching over, we said 2010, up until 2016, up to 2024. That is a fact. But the land was retrieved because, most importantly, there was a new survey and a new planning exercise. We can talk and talk and talk over for many PNQs. The same PNQ as this one can be asked over and over again. The facts remain that all four organizations were not able to build. This government not only is proposing relocation to a more appropriate site, is laying down all the infrastructure, and furthermore is embarking upon the unprecedented gesture, it's more than a gesture, action of constructing cultural centers for the Hindi-speaking union, the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust, the Urdu-speaking union. Never before has any government put its words to action and shown its commitment to supporting the cultural development, the cultural centers of all the components of the Mauritian population.
1 year ago, I asked the same Deputy Prime Minister whether he would help financially these cultural centers, and he categorically refused. And now on the eve of the election, suddenly the money is found.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, no, don't show me your hands, don't show me your hands. This is disrespect. I am asking you to put your questions. Don't make comments.
The eve of the election, suddenly, now government comes up with that money. When he's saying, I haven't finished.
Put your question, last time.
I will put my question. What's the matter with you?
The matter is with you.
I will put my question. Now, I want to ask the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. He is saying that the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust agreed, whereas we all know that the community itself and the Mauritius Tamil Temples Federation have never agreed. Is he aware that all the board members, all of them, of the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust are appointed by the Minister of Culture, and furthermore, a large number of them are civil servants. These people cannot be said to represent the Tamil community or any community, because in fact all they do is they represent government because they are civil servants.
Mr. Speaker, once a year, the leader of the opposition wakes up and is suddenly concerned with the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust and the Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association. Once a year. The last PNQ dates back to almost a year. The leader of the opposition, as opposed to the example of several members of the opposition, has not been involved in the demagoguery we have heard, and I had hoped that he would maintain the same standards today. Let me again respond to him that since May 2023, this government has not remained inactive, has not remained with its arms folded. We have moved very concretely since that time to identify, together with the 4 socio-cultural organizations, the land where they would be relocated. Proposals had been made for La Vigie. Proposals had been made for, I believe, land in the region of Hermitage. It was only when the 4 organizations, in the presence of the Minister of Arts and Culture, gave their agreement and said they were happy and satisfied, that we could then, in a consensual manner, embark upon this project in a concrete manner. As soon as that was decided, action was taken to verify that the land was appropriate for the building of a cultural center. Discussions embarked upon with Landscope for the acquisition of the land, tendering procedures undertaken, and a contract allocated by Landscope for the work to be done. And right now, my colleague, the Minister of Arts and Culture, is in the process of meeting with these organizations, or at least the 3 of them, to agree upon the precise location of the plots which will be attributed to each one of the 3. So one can either talk and wake up once a year to do some new talking, or one can act, and this government is acting decisively, to support all cultural centers.
The PM says decisive action after 12 whole months have gone past, and it takes a PNQ to get the truth out of you. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister whether he hasn't replied to the question. When the government is talking to the Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre, they're in fact talking to themselves, because they are talking to civil servants, and no civil servant is going to go against the instructions of a Prime Minister or even a Deputy Prime Minister. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister now whether money is not everything. There's also integrity, honesty and dignity. Whether he will now apologise for having said, having called these venerable persons usual troublemakers and their projet Galimatia.
Again, Mr. Speaker, it pains me. This is not just any leader of the opposition. It is somebody whom I respect and who has got us accustomed to other standards of debate in this House. That he should now share in the same demagoguery that other members of the opposition do really pains me. And let me respond to what has been said. And I thought the leader of the opposition would not share in the demagoguery I'm now hearing from others on the opposition side, and you can hear them, as well as I do.
Order.
I do. And these members can put their parliamentary questions instead of insulting.
Honourable Bagwan, order. Order. I've said order everywhere. Order both sides of the House. Order both sides of the House. Last time. Order both sides of the House. Last time.
Your reply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. the leader of the opposition says it's taken a year for the truth to be stated. I don't know what truth he's being referring to. We have all stated the truth. What was the state of the land? Who gave that land away in such a manner? What the project was? To go back to planning principles? How the retrieval of land concerned not one nor two organizations, but 13 different plots of land, including ministries, including the Prime Minister's office, including private sector organizations, including NGOs of different types. So it's not one, it's not two associations, but 13 plots of land having been retrieved. Let this truth be known to the nation, beyond the sly innuendos and the defamatory remarks of the opposition. Firstly, the truth is that the whole of the Réduit Triangle area has been looked at afresh with a new planning exercise. Secondly, the leader of the opposition refers to this cultural center trust with civil servants and so on. Now, when were these centers set up? This was set up between 2000 and 2005 by the MSM-MMM government, and we are proud of that. And since then, they have done the work, their work, for the promotion of cultural development of everybody in this country. They have been supported by government, and government has worked hand in hand with these organizations. I don't know whether the leader of the opposition is against cultural centers and cultural center trusts. If that be the case, he should say so. He should say so. Because, Mr. Speaker, what does he call them, eminent, venerable leader of the opposition has been in government since 2005. And to my knowledge, after 2005, never has he come forward to propose the change or the abolition of cultural center trusts. These cultural centers exist. We are proud that we brought them into existence, and we will go on working with them, just as we work with all religions and socio-cultural organizations of all religions. Now, let me go back the truth. I'm blamed by the leader of the opposition by speaking of usual troublemakers. Everybody in this country knows that this matter has been politicized. Just to score cheap political points, even if it has meant threatening the stability and the social community spirit of the population of Mauritius. And this is not the first time the opposition does so. And secondly, there's a campaign that the minister would have termed the project of the Tamil Cultural Trust Galimatia. That is not what was said, and they know full well, and the leader of the opposition first. The term Galimatia was used to say that when there is no urban planning, take any area of the country, if you allow, as did the government after 2005, and my friends from the MMM will note what I'm saying, we put in place between 2000 and 2005 planning guidelines so that activities that emerge would be compatible. There will be an orderly, coherent development. After 2006, they did the contrary, so that you have haphazard development. That is what was referred to. And now we are seeking to bring back some coherence in terms of development of land. That is the mandate of my ministry, and that is what we're doing, not only in Réduit, but across the country, to look at state leases that are not being utilized, state land that is not being productively used. That is the work of government. We are doing our work. We are supporting cultural centres, and the population will judge.
Time over by 6 minutes. Prime Minister's question time.
Et voilà donc pour cette PNQ de Xavier Duval, PNQ axée l'urban la terre initialement allouée à Centre Culturel Tamoul et à l'Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association a réduit. Xavier Duval qui fait une question, Premier ministre adjoint et ministre du Logement Stephen Obigadou. Les types ou les connaît si pour rendre sa ban terrain là à deux l'organisation là et sinon pour qui raison Xavier Duval qui fait ou les aussi connaît si ban la terre là fin attribuée à les autres promoteurs et si vous donne une compensation à ban organisation subventionnée compte tenu du préjudice causé. Alors Stephen Obigadou fin d'abord revient l'eau une question qui dit répondre, question parlementaire qui dit répondre en mai 2023 à l'Assemblée nationale, mais aussi l'eau PNQ en date du 23 mai 2023. Stephen Obigadou fin revient l'historique de l'attribution de ban terrain et les dire que l'attribution de sa ban terrain là partie en conformité à ban projet de développement selon un survey et les dire qui donc 4 associations qui concernées par le retrait de ban terrain à réduit. C'est une proposition qui t'y fait à sa ban l'organisation là. Si dans un premier temps, je suis d'accord avec rationalité de sa décision là. Ensuite, de l'organisation fin change cette position. Ensuite, fin une nouvelle proposition et donc c'est le site de Côte d'Or qui t'y proposé et une organisation partie d'accord à l'exception donc des 3 qui t'y d'accord. La question de compensation n'est pas posée selon Stephen Obigadou parce qu'il peut dire qu'il pas fini n'a aucun préjudice qui fin causé. Il dit que le gouvernement toujours prêt pour soutenir l'organisation socio-culturelle et l'information qui a retenir donc il dit que le terrain à Côte d'Or est approprié, qu'il y a travaux qui peut faire, une survey fin complétée, travaux d'infrastructure, des lots, etc. Il dit que le gouvernement pour construire un centre pour l'organisation là, donc à ses propres frais. Alors Xavier Duval fait dire que le Centre Culturel Tamoul et l'Indo-Mauritius Catholic Association déçu qui fin reprend terrain là avec eux. Xavier Duval qui fin parle aussi de désorganisation au sein du ministère. Cette séance, Jagdish fin également marquée par un rappel à l'ordre du speaker.
Un rappel à l'ordre, surtout quand Xavier Duval évoque cette question concernant un statement, une déclaration que Stephen Obigadou fait quand il s'est qualifié. Il dit qu'il ne faut pas une agalimatia dans la région qui est en développement, c'est-à-dire le réduit triangle, donc besoin revoir. Alors là, il peut dire c'est à partir de quel moment décision il prend pour retrieve, c'est-à-dire pour récupérer sa bande terrain là. En 2020, finena un monitoring land use, c'est-à-dire utilisation bande terrain qui finit alloué, c'est 24 portions de terre qui t'y donné à différentes organisations et seulement 11 in développées, le reste qui unused, c'est-à-dire inutilisé, gouvernement il prend la décision pour reprendre sa bande terrain là, excepté création d'un archive national, le National Archives, c'est-à-dire qu'il est le projet l'idée avancé, donc ça c'est une exception. Et deuxième exception, le reste terrain qui est resté là, c'est la construction d'un planétarium, c'est-à-dire à Rivière-Cascade, qui ne trouve pas tout à fait dans la même région, mais nous pensons il est presque vis-à-vis. Alors donc il y a un new planning exercise, un nouvel exercice de planification faire pour guetter comment utilise ban terrain qui abandonné. 4 organisations concernées par sa bande terrain qui peut restituer là. Hindi Speaking Union, Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust et également Urdu Speaking Union. dans les 4 organisations concernées, Priscilla, le ministre dit être fini une réunion de travail, une séance de travail, coûte plus ou moins d'accord. Excepté Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, il dissocié du groupe et il fin décidé donc pour contester c'est-à-dire sous expulsion, si nous capables de dire, de réduire, il peut maintenir qu'il est bizarre reste à réduire. Et là, donc, le ministre, le député Prime Minister, Stephen Obigadou, peut dire que le gouvernement peut aller de l'avant pour réalloquer de terrain dans Côte d'Or et terrain peut acheter, le gouvernement peut faire l'acquisition de terrain avec l'ENSCOPE. L'ENSCOPE, il déjà commence des travaux de développement, des travaux de nettoyage de ce terrain-là. Et donc, le gouvernement peut investir pour subvenir au coût qui ça représenté avec l'ENSCOPE pour qui une construction faire. Donc, pour ça, 3 l'association ou l'organisation qui l'a accepté. Et en même temps, Stephen Obigadou a annoncé qu'il pourrait y avoir 8 centres culturels qui pour construire, financés entièrement par le gouvernement. Donc, voilà la nouvelle qui concernait. Mais Xavier Duval peut dire c'est pas une question d'argent, mais il y a une question de dignité. Il ne faudrait pas qui peut expulser, qui peut, éliminer. Que le gouvernement reprend le terrain, il ne faudrait pas se sentir qu'ils ont droit lésé. Et comme on dit, donc, Priscilla, concernant compensation, le gouvernement peut dire, pas fin n'a aucun préjudice qui fin créé, donc il n'a aucune compensation pour payer en cas de protestation, en cas il y a une caisse logée en cours. Et Xavier Duval, il fait mention à une lettre qui Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association s'est adressé au ministère du Logement en 2023 pour dire qu'il y a absolument, c'est un génocide, il qualifiait ça déplacement-là de génocide, donc petit dans un terrain qui finit alloué, et peut-être donc depuis 2010, et donc c'est un contrat, un bail de 30 ans. Mais quand même, et Stephen Obigadou peut reconnaître que l'organisation là, je suis déjà partie prenante dans un projet de développement à Côte d'Or, mais finalement, la Indo-Mauritian Catholic Association, les restent en dehors, alors que les 3 autres, ils paraissent, qui le Trust Fund, Mauritius Tamil Cultural Centre Trust Fund et les 2 autres organisations, Urdu Speaking Union et Hindi Speaking Union, d'accord pour aller à Côte d'Or, Côte Pouena, ban centre culturel en construction.
Donc, information à retenir, Jagdish, pas de compensation, pas pour retourner ce terrain-là.
Oui.
Une construction a déjà démarré du côté de Côte d'Or. Donc, le gouvernement pour faire une construction à ses propres frais pour ces organisations et d'autres organisations également.
Absolument. Donc, Mauritius Tamil Cultural Center Trust, pas pour retrouver le terrain, d'après qui le vice-premier ministre, il a annoncé. Donc, Côte d'Or reste toujours l'endroit privilégié et le député Prime Minister peut maintenir qu'il s'est un terrain qui peut reprendre, qui le gouvernement peut reprendre pour servir pour un grand projet de développement, d'un développement beaucoup plus planifié que ce qui pourrait exister après allocation de ce terrain-là par l'ancien gouvernement parti travailliste.
En tout cas, merci beaucoup, Jagdish, pour ce compte-rendu de la PNQ.
Merci, les travaux continuent. Comme on nous dit au départ, il y a environ 17 questions adressées au Premier ministre. Il y a une question concernant surtout Agalega. Alors donc, on peut demander comment le développement à Agalega peut intégrer et dans mon installation surtout à Agalega, peut intégrer dans le programme développement gouvernement, surtout pour la République de Maurice. Et il y a une question concernant Air Mauritius, surtout 3 questions sur Air Mauritius, flotte avion qui est disponible, annulation, retard fréquent, également donc 6 premiers ministres pour nommer un audit complet la viabilité de l'appareil de notre compagnie nationale d'aviation.
La PMQT, la séance de la PMQT, c'est à suivre évidemment. Là, nos pages Facebook défimedia.info. Quant à ban projet de loi, nous rappelons la séance parlementaire pour trouver également l'examen en première lecture de l'Environment Bill et tandis qu'il y a un débat, Law Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill pour continuer. En tout cas, merci beaucoup, Jagdish Joypal.
Merci Priscilla et bonne journée.
Merci à suivre de larges extraits de la Private Notice Question dans le journal de 13h avec Douchila Mansingh.